What's going on, fam? What's going on, fam? It's your boy, the Tubi Kang, coming to you once again, man. And when I say we got a good one, hey, we got a good one for you this evening. But as I always say, I pray that you have had a great day up until this point and that it continues to be great. If you have not had a great day up until this point, I pray that from this moment forward that your day does get exponentially better. So, man, we're gonna hop right into this one because I got questions. I know when I first did a review of this movie, y'all had questions and speculation, so we finna hop right into it. So, without further ado, I'm finna let my special guest introduce herself to y'all.
Hi, everybody. My name is Janaya Black, writer, director, producer, and with Blacksmith Enterprises. I'm excited to be here with the Tubi Kang. Talk about surprise. Let's get into it.
Yes, let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, I got a question off the bat. So, um, I really didn't know what the surprise could have went so many different ways. It could have been a surprise party, a surprise birthday trip. It could have been a surprise anything. But one of the first things that I noticed and that a lot of people was asking, in one of the first scenes, the main character, the husband, his best friend was trying to get in contact with him, but he called his wife's phone.
Mm-hmm.
And when he picked up the phone, he was like, "Hey man, why you call?" He was basically like, "Why you come on my phone?" He's like, "Man, I've been trying to call you, but you weren't picking up, so I knew that if I called her, she could relay the message to you." And he calmed down after that. And then when his wife left, he kind of had like a look like, "Nah, it ain't nothing." So my thing was like, a lot of people saying like, "Hey, he already had some insecurity." So for him to act like that, did was it something behind the scenes to where she had already cheated on him, or something that happened to him in the past, or like, why was he, if that was his best friend and that was his wife, like why was he like thinking like, "Nah, ain't nothing going on."
Well, you have to ask yourself, okay, because are you married?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so but you had girlfriends in the past.
Yes.
Okay, so your girlfriend and if you guys live together, say for instance, your best friend, you guys are dynamic, right?
Yes.
Your best friend typically doesn't call your girlfriend or your significant other like that unless it's an emergency or something's going on or whatever, right? So
True.
if it's something out of the ordinary, anybody who has a significant other is going to be kind of looking like, what are you calling him for? And it's not necessarily that it's an insecurity. It's just something that's out of the ordinary. That's kind of like, what's going on? You know what I mean? So that could have been it. And it's like it's so interesting to me as a writer when people put together their own backstories for things and come up with the whys and the who, when, what, where, and all that other stuff. But it was just simply this is a married couple, and my best friend is my best friend, her best friend is her best friend, and if that's not something that normally happens, I think anybody would be kind of looking sideways like that's different. I mean, it might not necessarily be I'm about
Hmm.
to start accusing you of anything, but that's a little different.
Yeah, yeah, and I can get that because I think my reaction, because you're true, like I said, unless it's like an emergency, what I'm saying, or something like that. Because it's been time one of my best friends, like, he was working real hard, and like he had a break, and I said, you know what, I said I want to surprise him, so I text his wife, I said, "Hey, can you try to get him out the house where I could, what I'm saying, get him this, or say that you're doing that or whatever." It was a surprise. And the other time when me and her had a conversation because he was sick and I was trying to find out what was going on, but it's never been no, "Hey, I was trying to get in contact." It's just like, "Oh, he must be busy. He'll hit me up." You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah,
he get a chance,
yeah,
because
that makes total sense.
yeah, because throughout the movie, well, before stuff started unraveling, they were, say, pretty good friends. He was the married, had his head on straight. His best friend was the playboy, was the bachelor. You know what I'm saying? So I guess maybe he thinking like, man, he a playboy. He might don't, what I'm saying, might don't care. So we move past that, and everything is still what it is, right? But, but, he is still questioning his friend. Can we go down that part of the movie when um he had mentioned the watch that his wife had gave him?
Hmm. So yeah, and that's all part of planting the dropping the breadcrumbs so that when you get to the end,
Gotcha.
like, oh man. But the watch thing, because they had been meeting to plan this party. So that's why, she probably told him about it during one of their meetings, and he was just like, oh yeah, that he would like that. That's a dope gift. And so, and just trying to keep the conversation off of what they were trying to hide from him, he brought that up. Like, hey, why ain't you wearing it? Because David was starting to trip, so that was his way of reeling them back in.
And cause like right here, what I'm saying, she came out. Now he's looking at his best
Yeah.
friend.
It's like, you
What I'm saying?
already called her. What you hugging her now for? Like, what is going on? Like,
I'm
it's
like,
your birthday.
I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, they're just digging a hole, what I'm saying, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then it's like he gets to the point to where he has started like thinking like, okay, what's really going on? But this is my thing, and this is when we had differences when I was reviewing the movie. Like it came down to where she was trying to plan a surprise for him,
Mhm.
and I totally think that she went about it wrong.
I agree.
So, because my thing was in part of the movie, she was like, I think that he's catching on to us, or I think that he suspects something. And at that point, I'm like, if you think that your husband is suspecting you of cheating, why not be like, babe, I know you know something is going on. We were trying to plan a surprise. 'Cause let me back a little bit. Because he went through her email
Hmm.
and saw a trip, a planned trip, and saw it corresponded between those two. And he was like, oh man. You know what I'm saying? And then like she kept saying, "Oh, I don't have time for you. We still working on this project. We still working on this project." So what was the thought process during that little moment right there from her saying, well, from him catching the emails between her and his best friend to, what I'm saying, her saying, "Hey, I think that he knows something is going on." Why wasn't she just like, let me just go ahead and tell?
Because then the movie would have been over. It's 30 minutes.
Touche.
I mean, at the end of the day, the premise of the movie was just to have this over the top example of what the lack of communication in a marriage can lead to. It's
Right.
all about communication. So it's like, you are absolutely right. She went about it the total wrong way. Because if you see that your man is getting upset, you know that he's acting out of character because you moving different, it's time to sit down and have a conversation. But through the movie, of course, that has to be dramatized to tell the story. And and her, in this case, she was letting the best friend talk her into continuing, because he's like, oh, he'll be fine once he sees the end result, don't
Hmm.
worry about it. So that was more so on their part. The thought process is like, once he sees the end result, he'll understand, so we're just gonna push through and he'll be all right.
Yeah, because at that point, well, throughout the whole movie, like the movie was written so well, directed so well to where I was actually like placing myself in his shoes. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Thinking like without like I'm talking to the TV like why don't she just say, what I'm saying? Or why don't he just, well, we'll get to that part in a minute, but I was like, why don't she just say, hey, what I'm saying, I'm planning this surprise. We was trying to do it, so I know I was saying busy or whatever, but then again I was like, well, if she's gonna plan a surprise, why are you staying out to like midnight? You know what I'm saying? Every night, saying that you work a lot. I like, you couldn't have did that like right after you went off of work. You know what I'm saying? Say you've had to drink with the girls and things that day. So I'm like, she could have did that so much better with that surprise. So he ends up. Let's talk about this part. When it was one of them times when she said that she was working late on the project, and she finds a napkin. He finds a napkin of a restaurant. So what was going on in that particular part of the movie?
So if you remember when they were at the bar with the coworkers,
Mm-hmm.
as Greg is walking over to the table, he's talking on the phone to somebody. You don't know at that time who it is, but he's like, "Okay, I'll meet you at Lucky's at this time." And that was the name on the napkin that he found in her pocket. So he's still putting two and two together. Like, wait, Greg was meeting somebody at Lucky's, and now she just
Uh-huh.
got a napkin. So now things are escalating in his mind.
Exactly, and there goes my guy Greg right there.
Yeah, Master Spratling.
So he ends up doing something to where he had numerous times to, well, he was advised numerous times to where, hey, if you move forward with this, it's not no turning back in it.
Yeah.
What was this guy's role right here in the movie?
Well, he was a private investigator because David, he gets to the point where he's just like, I can't deal anymore. I need to really find out what's going on. I keep asking her, she's not being honest with me, so now I'm going to find out on my own. So he brings in James Finley, who is a private investigator that helped out a friend of his, and he asks him to follow his wife and find out what's going on and report back to him. So, and then things escalate from there.
Okay, so he's steady telling him, what I'm saying, once I make this call to this other guy, because it's like he wants him to say, he's going to make this move to do something to where there's no coming back from. And he's like, hey, if you do this, what I'm saying, don't have any other contact with me and things. So it's getting deep. So at this point, David has already let the best of him get to him. He has already been sharp with Greg at work. Be like, yeah, man, I was with this one. He like, man, I ain't trying to hit. I ain't got time. You know what I'm saying? He's snapping with him and everything. And because he already in his mind he knows that Greg is sleeping. Greg and his wife are sleeping together, messing around. So at that point, once he talks to the PI, does the PI find out anything?
Yes, the PI actually gives him an envelope with pictures of Jenna and Greg together at a restaurant, and of course, Greg it's like kind of like a hotel restaurant, and so he automatically assumes the worst. And James is like, "Do you want me to keep following them?" And Greg is like, "No, I've seen all I need to see," because his mind is already assuming the worst. So he's just like, "I already know what's going on. I'm about to do what I need to do on my end to make myself feel better." And so he's like, okay, I'm still gonna try to talk to Jenna to see what's going on. And then, they still holding on to the surprise. He's still finding out stuff. So he just keeps getting angrier and angrier. And that just starts messing with him mentally. And he cannot stand the thought of his wife being with somebody else.
So he gets the pictures from the PI. What does he do that makes this movie just take a completely different turn?
He's not getting any answers. So his imagination is just wreaking havoc on his mental at that point. It's just like is driving him crazy just thinking about what could be going on with his wife and his best friend. And the pictures that he's seeing didn't make it any better. So and the fact that he is trying to talk to her, but he's not being as direct about it as he could have been. And she, like she said, like you said, she didn't go about it the right way either. All that combined just makes for a really bad situation. So I think, he starts to feel insecure, and he's like, instead of handling it rationally, he lets his emotions get the best of him, and he did something rash. So the investigator was kind of his conscience in a way too, because
True.
like if you really look at it, the investigator was not instigating anything. He was just presenting the information, and he did ask him like, "Do you want me to keep following her to see if I can get more information?" He's like, "Nah, I'm good." Okay. So then he's still in his head, and it continues to get worse for him, which leads him to the next steps.
And what was the next step? Because him and the investigator meet again, and he's asking the investigator some pretty deep questions, and what happens then?
Well, I don't want to give everything away because some people may not have seen it yet, but no, he enlists the investigator to do something that is not legal. So, and the investigator is like, I can help you with that, with what you want, but I really want you to think about it because before you start down that path, because once you get that ball rolling, you can't stop it. So have you tried talking to your wife? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? And Dave's just like, no, bump all that. This is what I want to do. And so he makes him say it out loud. Like, if that's what you want, you got to say it.
Yeah.
So Dave is like, this is what I want. And at the end, I'm sorry, the investigator's like, all right, I'm going to hook it up for you, but you can't call me no more. We're done
Yeah.
after this. And, so he tried to be the conscience, the voice of reason.
So he ends up meeting with the person that the investigator put him into with, and that guy is pretty much saying the same thing. Like, are you sure? Like,
Hmm.
are you sure? Like he was just, are you sure? Are you sure? Where he couldn't even see the guy's face. You know what I'm saying? He was like, hey, after this is done, don't text me anymore, or I'll put a hurting on you, or whatever the case may be. But once again, even through the whole process, once again, I'm putting myself in David's shoes because I'm like, okay, you're suspecting something. Well, you're 100%, like you say, he's all in his head, he's emotional about it. You're already 100% that your wife is sleeping with your best friend Greg, right? So you got the pictures, you're looking at them, and your wife come home, and I'm thinking like, bro, just show her the pictures. Just be like, hey, I know that y'all like that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, man, just show her the picture, just show her the picture. I'm like, you sitting here crying and all this other stuff, man, just show her the pictures. So he hears her come in, he hiding the pictures under the couch, and I'm like, man, just show her the pictures, man. And then, so that because at this point, I don't think anybody who had watched the movie knew what was going on. Like I still didn't know, what I'm saying, what the surprise. I really thought that she was, what I'm saying, like creeping on. Cause I'm like, dang, he done saw the flights, what I'm saying. Even though Greg is acting, what I'm saying, cool and wonder, like, man, why you tripping, what I'm saying, on me or something like that. He still really isn't acting like, what I'm saying, he is sleeping with her. But once again, the wife with all these late meetings, he got pictures of them. She at the same restaurant, like I said, the email. So at this point, I'm like, man, he probably is, what I'm saying, messing. Either he's messing around with David's wife, or he knows who she's messing around with, and he's keeping, what I'm saying, a secret. I thought it was either one of those two, what I'm saying, scenarios. But we fast forward to that, and she actually did have a surprise for him. So could you take us through that real quick?
Yeah, okay, so we'll just cover this now. So for anybody who hasn't seen the movie and don't want no spoilers, spoiler alert. You might want to. So, yeah, she had a surprise for him, and at the beginning, we talk about how it's his birthday. She got him this nice watch and stuff like that, and then his business is doing really good. So her and Greg thought that they would get together and do something special for him to celebrate his birthday and to celebrate all the success that they've been having as a company. So he would never suspect it after the fact, so what better way to surprise somebody than to do something like that after their birthday, so
Yeah.
and that's where their hearts were at, and then they were just abundantly oblivious to his feelings and the fact that he was losing his mind, because they're just like hyper focused on what they're trying to do and thinking he'll be fine, but it just didn't turn out that way.
So when he finds out, it's a surprise because we skipped a couple of pieces to leave it open. When he finds out it's a surprise, he goes in. David goes into a panic
Hmm.
because he did something that was time sensitive
And irreversible.
and irreversible motion that he put action that he put in motion. That I think it was it that same day or the day before
It was some days before.
or some days before. So he put that irreversible action in motion. And when he figured out, well, at first he thought that everything was cool because he ended up calling Greg and Greg answered.
Yeah, but prior to that, he tried to call the guy that was doing the job, and the number had been disconnected.
Yeah.
He was panicking because he tried to call Greg first and then went to voicemail, and then he tried to call the other guy. Numbers disconnected, so now his heart's racing. He's panicking, like, "Oh, what have I done?" But then when he finally got Greg on the phone, that gave him like a silver lining, like, okay, maybe I can fix this. Maybe it's not too.
Yeah. And as soon as he thought he had that silver lining, he gets that text message
Mm-hmm.
to let him know that what he put in motion, the motion in the ocean is dead. Now it's already been done.
Right.
And he's at the party and he just starts, what I'm saying, freaking out. And at this point, I'm like, okay, what happens, which leads to my next question, like about what happened next. So, like, because I still have questions that would only need to be answered if it's a sequel to this. So, with that being said, should we expect a surprise too?
Actually, okay, so here's the thing. When we initially did Surprise, it was supposed to be just that story, and then all the surprises that came after that were going to be surprise the next chapter, something totally different.
Gotcha.
So, and I'm not a director or writer who like feels like everything needs a sequel. Like I like to leave people wanting more. Sometimes stories don't always have to be neatly cleaned up. Like I wanted to leave it to where the viewer gets to decide what happened to David at the end. Did he have a heart attack? Did he have an anxiety attack? But my partners, they wanted to do a part two because Tubi was going crazy. One
Yeah.
part two, so there will be a part two. We actually wrapped on that. When did we do that? We shot that in at the beginning of August. So
Okay.
you guys can definitely look for that, and all your questions will be answered.
Okay. Because, like, okay, for instance, when it ended, I was wondering, what I'm saying, like, what was going to be his excuse of why he broke down like that? Was he going to tell his wife what he suspected and what he did? Was he going to be like, was he going to make some kind of wild excuse of why he started acting like that, or whatever the case? Was he going to try to hunt down the investigator, or whatever the case? Like all of these scenarios were playing through my head about, like, okay, like what is he going to do? Say after that, because he's made this big old scene in front of everyone. So it ain't like you can't. It's not like something that you went in the bathroom and you know what I'm saying, screamed or hit one of the stalls and anything like that. Like, you literally broke down in front of the entire party that was there for, what I'm saying, your surprise. So that's what that's what left me, what I'm saying, wanting more, because I'm like I was totally, what I'm saying, invested. 'Cause like I said, how the movie was written, it like literally forces you to put yourself in that, in that position. Because as a man, you like, why is he tripping, or why is he? As a woman, you probably thinking like, yeah, I want to did, what I'm saying, all of that, what I'm saying, for surprise, So you're putting yourself in a situation. Like I said, I was talking to the TV, like, on a bunch of parts of the movie, like, man, just show her the pictures. Just show her the pictures. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling, like, man, don't do it before you hire such and such. Just talk to him. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, you already being, what I'm saying, snappy with him or whatever. You might as well just go ahead and say what's up on your, say what's up on your chest.
That part.
Because, like, we were speculating, and like when the people saying, there was like something had to happen to where either in a past relationship, what I'm saying, he got cheated on, or his wife, what's her name, Jenna, right?
Dinner,
Or,
yes.
or, or either his wife Jenna cheated on him, what I'm saying, in the past, or maybe Greg, when they was back in high school or something, Greg, what I'm saying, stole one of his girlfriends, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. So, because we was like, because I really didn't recognize it until when I was doing a review, and somebody said, like, why would he even look like that? You know what I'm saying, when his friend called. And then when I look back at it, I said, well, let me watch it again and see if it's stuff I missed. Then when I look back on it, he was like, nah. And I'm like, dang, he is tripping, you know what I'm saying, a little bit, especially how good of friends that they, what I'm saying, that they were. Because you got to be good friends if you've been at that job and y'all have never bumped head. Because they say best friends shouldn't work together. You know what I'm saying? So they've been working together, never bumped heads in that. So they had to be, you know what I'm saying, excellent friends. I'm thinking like, okay, something had to happen because a lot of people saying, man, like David, he was just insecure. Something, you know what I'm saying, had to happen. But as you know what I'm saying, get deeper into the movie, you see just how I guess I can use the word unconventional. You know what I'm saying? His wife was moving, you know what I'm saying, to pull off the like she was not covering her tracks very well at all. So to know that there's a part two coming and all of my speculations and all of my questions are gonna be answered, you know what I'm saying? I am super thrilled. Now I wish I would have known that before and known you before, because I'm like, hey, if y'all need, you know what I'm saying, like, you know what I'm saying, the investigative sidekick. If he needs a sidekick, you know, I would have been that guy. You know what I'm saying? But
But those were all great questions that you answered. I can't confirm or deny anything.
gotcha, gotcha.
Shout out to Jayla Mosley. She's the young lady who wrote part two and directed it. So you guys can look for that to come out hopefully later this year.
Oh, okay, okay. Are we looking at fall, winter, or
That's up to Tubi. So
okay,
yeah, that's
okay,
but
gotcha, gotcha.
we are in post production for it now, and once all that's been sewn up, it's up to them when they put it out.
Okay, well, I am definitely excited about that. And y'all heard it here first, folks. On Tubi Tuesday with the Tubi Kang, there will be a surprise part two.
Yes.
Y'all already know the first night it come out, the first day it come, whatever time it come out, I'm dropping whatever I'm doing because I need to find out what's going on
Yeah,
with David. But
definitely gonna have all your questions answered. Yeah.
to get into that, just to start from the beginning, um, where did just the whole like when you were directing, writing this movie, like where did like all of this did it come from somebody that a personal experience that you knew from somebody, or was it just the creative juices were just flowing?
It was actually the brainchild of one of the producers, Paris Jones. He's my husband's partner with Silverline Entertainment. It was his idea, so he wrote the treatment and gave it to me, and I loved it. And I was like, I'll write the script and direct it, and we just kind of took over from that because my husband and I have been married for 28 years, and
Wow, congratulations.
so just the thank you, and just the whole premise of it, just like I said, the lack of communication, just like over the top look at how things could go wrong. That was exciting for me. So I was like, this would be an interesting story to tell.
Well, it definitely was like without a shadow of a doubt because it had me, you know what I'm saying, tuned in like zero like I'm trying to find like little stuff like did he do this or is he gonna say something about, man, you acting funny just how you did in high school or how you did, you know what I'm saying, like I was just trying to wait for any kind of clue that would give me why was he really, you know what I'm saying, tripping like that. And like I said, it was written and directed so well to where it just kept you, you know what I'm saying, waiting, okay, man, what's gonna happen next, what is he finna do next, what is she finna do, what is he finna do, you know what I'm saying? Like I was just sitting like wondering what was gonna happen next. So, getting back to what you just said, and we're just talking about you being director and a writer now. Like how I guess I could say not just fun, but how big of a blessing is that you and your husband are both into the movie entertainment business? Like how did that come apart? Like did y'all meet on a set or like how did that work?
No, we actually met the summer that I graduated from high school, 1995, and neither one of us, could have said that we would be doing movies. It
Wow.
came about kind of very organically. I've always been an avid reader. I started out as an author. I put my first book out in 2002, and he was in 8 Mile. So when he was in 8 Mile,
Oh wow.
he got bit by the acting bug. Like that, he was like, "This is what I want to do." And at that time, I was writing my first book, and I would let him read chapters as I got done. He was like, "We should turn this into a movie." And I was like, "Okay," but we had no idea where to start because at that time it wasn't a lot of people in Detroit doing movies. So we just
Right.
got out and started networking with people, and we were blessed to be able to meet a group of people who were veterans, like in commercial broadcasting, like for the news and things like that. And they kind of took us under their wing and showed us how to do production, and we just soaked up everything we could, and we've been going ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you mentioned Detroit, and it's like on Tubi, Detroit has been on fire
Yeah.
with dropping the movie. So how is the movie scene in Detroit now? What's just like the vibe and atmosphere in the movie scene in Detroit right now?
It's just really supercharged. I mean, there's a lot of production going on here, and so much so that we just have to constantly be growing the talent pool, both in front and behind the camera. So I know my company has been focusing a lot on doing more classes, like production classes, acting classes, and whatnot. Just foster new talent because it's a tight knit circle, but everybody like there has their own production companies. But we often come together and help each other. But we also end up using a lot of the same people. So
Hmm.
like we're really having to grow the talent pool so that we can just keep things moving because there's so many productions going on.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Hey, well, if y'all ever need a movie that calls for the Tubi Kang, just let me know. But but in all seriousness, like so, you have movies on Tubi. Do you have a desire for any of your movies? Like I know it may seem like a silly question, but I know some people do like the independent more than major and stuff like that. So do you have a desire for one day y'all films, you and your husband films to be on the big screen?
I'm not opposed to anything that God has for me because I don't know how many of our movies you've seen, but a lot of our films are faith based. And for me, a lot of movies that we do are ministry. So like we specialize in family friendly and faith based films because if you notice, like Surprise doesn't have any profanity in it, no nudity, and that's our thing. We
Gotcha.
stick to that. So if bigger platforms, are interested in showing our stuff, I'm totally open for that. But being an independent has given us creative control over our stuff for so long. I'm not willing to compromise really on anything. So if getting to the bigger platforms comes with a lot of compromising for stuff that we just aren't going to do, then I'm okay doing it like we're doing it.
Awesome, awesome. So I got a question for you, and I asked this question before. Like, um, I'm gonna try to get you back soon because I want to do a hot seat to where I ask you questions, say about the movie business, about movies, but you won't know the question I'm going to ask until I ask it, so I
Okay.
can get your raw, unadulterated, response. So I'm going to ask you, and I asked this before, um, to Miss Ayers, who directed God Forgives I Don't. So
Oh yeah, Tanja was she it was her idea. I actually directed
yeah,
God because I don't.
so let me ask you this question. Tyler Perry says, "I want the rights to Surprise, but I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. And once you give me the rights to Surprise, you can't take no ownership of it. You can't basically, I guess, like an NDA. You can't say that you had any hand in it. And I'm going to give you $5 million for that movie. Are you taking? Are you saying nah, TP? I'll catch you on another time."
For Surprise, we probably would because again, that was the brainchild of someone else. So if he wanted to do that, then we would that's what we would have to do because that was his idea. Um,
Gotcha,
but say for instance, if it was Sons of a Preacher, that was my movie. If somebody like before we shot it and he read the script and wanted to change it or whatever, I would say no because to me the message was too important to let somebody take it and just change it.
gotcha. And see, everybody, y'all heard that right? Like we see a lot of these. Like a lot of times we talk about these entertainers, mostly in the music business, about how they let the A&Rs and all these people change who they are, give them this persona that's not them, and they do it for the fame and end up losing themselves. I remember I watched the Unsung of Montel Jordan, and what I'm saying, when he was coming out and he was married, and it was telling him like, hey, don't wear your wedding ring because you lose your appeal, what I'm saying, to the consumer and to the audience. And he ended up getting caught up in that. And he kept saying, he was saying afterwards that he was like, he wished that that's something that he hadn't did, because he got caught up into that lifestyle of not just portraying to be single, but actually acting on, what I'm saying, being single. But of course, he has did a whole complete 180, what I'm saying, from that now. But that's something that I love about, because a lot of times we'll say that, hey, you never know what money can do to you.
That's true.
Right. So how you got some people who say, "Oh, if they offer me $5 million, yeah, that'll be money for me to do X, Y, and Z, and I wouldn't change." And then you get that $5 million, and that puts you in a different crowd. You know what I'm saying? So now you've got that rush of 5 million. I be like, well, this ain't too bad. Let me get in that 20 million, and you keep It's like you'll start with one compromise, then it goes to three,
Yeah.
then next thing you know, you're just how you nickel and dime money. Like, oh, okay, I got $100. I'm gonna spend five. I'm gonna spend three down. And next thing you know, you check your account, and it's like, man, I ain't got no but $2.42. What I'm saying, about bank account. And it's kind of like when you compromise, what I'm saying, with your faith or with your beliefs. If you keep doing it, you're gonna end up going that extra mile that you shouldn't go. So I definitely salute you for not for saying that you would not give Tyler Perry you would not let Tyler Perry give you that $5 million, because a
Thank,
lot of people could not say that.
thank you. I just think it all depends on a person's what their focus is, what their motivations are. Because even with all the movies going on here, it's like there's a lot of people who do it because they genuinely love making movies, and then there's a lot of people that do it because they feel like it's going to make them a lot of money. And
Right.
as a film producer and a film watcher, I can tell the difference. If it's somebody that did a movie that genuinely loves the art, that's going to show through in their final product. If it's somebody just doing it for the money, that's going to show through too in your final product.
Right, right. So let me. Like, I know you're super busy. So let me ask you this question before I get you on out of here. What advice would you give to upcoming directors and writers who have maybe visions of getting their movies on a Tubi, on a Netflix, on something like that? What advice would you have for them?
I would tell them to immediately get out and start seeing whose set you can get on to learn. That's like a very big key to being successful in this business, because a lot of people have this misconception that it's just easy. You could just write your script and then tomorrow you're out shooting. It's not that. Like, it's definitely a grind. It's a lot of long hours. It's a lot of stress. And if you can just go PA, like if you've never done it before and you're wanting to get into it, go volunteer to be a production assistant on somebody's set so that you can just sit behind the scenes and watch throughout the production what it is that goes on behind those cameras and what it takes to get to the Tubi, like the
Gotcha.
final product that you see. Because we spend a lot of time preparing and pre-production. It's like, first you need to break down your script so you can understand how many days you're going to need to shoot, how many locations do you have, then you have to put your crew together, then you have to get your talent together, then it's locking in locations and scheduling time, making sure your budget is in order so that you can pay everybody. And even if you don't have a big budget, like, you can make a movie for whatever your budget is, but study the craft so that you can make it look good. Because I'm not gonna lie, our first movie, we probably spent like $2,000. And again, we did a lot of stuff on barter and trade because there's a lot of hungry people that want to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Put that group of people together and make a movie. Is it gonna be great? No. But each time you do a project, each one should be getting better.
Right.
There's people out there that'll say, "Oh, you shouldn't shoot a movie if you don't have more. If you don't have at least $50,000, you just shouldn't do it." That's not true, because we started out with peanuts because we had to learn.
Right.
If you can learn how to do it with nothing, once you do get some money, you gonna be pretty good in a good
Yeah.
position.
Because I guess the point in that is, if you have $50,000, but you don't know what you're doing,
Right.
that 50,000 is going to look like that, maybe look like that 2,000. But and shout out to Nathan Light, um, who um, who did Vendetta Road. He said his budget was 5,000,
Mhm.
and you really couldn't tell that it was a $5,000, what I'm saying, movie.
Yeah.
So definitely that's definitely why, like you said, like, know what you're doing, because no matter how much money you have, if you don't know what you're doing, you're just gonna be,
Go through
what I'm saying, wasteful. So okay, I got one more question for you because you brought something to my mind when you said break down the script, and this is something that I've wanted to know for a couple of years now. Like I've always wondered, like man, how is their memorization so good when they're remembering these parts and remembering, you know what I'm saying, how to go after this person, what they need to say and the reaction they need to make. Like how does that come? Because I've heard where they say it, well, what they'll do is they'll go part by part. And somebody will speak your line if you don't know it, and then you'll speak it in that moment, then they'll shoot it, and then you'll go to the next part. And I've heard where it's been like, nah, fam, they memorized the whole script and they run through it scene by scene, but nah, they memorized the entire script. What do you normally see in that? Or is any of that accurate?
I see a lot of different processes with the actors that I've worked with, but I tell them all that they need to learn the whole script. So whatever that means to that actor, like whatever their process is for memorizing their lines, some people will do cue cards. They'll go through the whole script and then do cue cards for their particular thing and like what's going on to break down what's going on in that scene. Because a lot of mistakes that I've seen as a director, like with actors, is that they focus so much on memorizing the lines that they don't take time to understand the scene.
Wow.
Sense. So if you understand the scene and what the energy and what the feeling should be, you understand that you're reacting to what's just being said. So if you know your lines, you're you're listening for lines, but then you're also listening to react to what's being said. So it allows you, so if you know your script and your lines, it allows you to be more in the moment because you're not trying to remember. If you know that you know it, you can be in the moment and react to your partner and like
Wow.
off of that chemistry. So if you and I are in a scene together and we're having an argument, if I'm trying to remember what I'm supposed to say to you, it's not going to look authentic because I'm in my
Right.
head. But if I know that situation and I know my lines, I might not say the lines verbatim, but if I understand what's going on and our chemistry is great, we're going to hit all the high points of that scene and it's going to sound authentic,
Wow.
be believable, because that's what I'm looking for as a director. Is it believable? Now there's times where I need you to say stuff verbatim because it's important to the story and it might
Okay.
be something at a later point. But I require my actors to learn the script, and then once we get in rehearsals, if something doesn't feel right to you, like if you, instead of saying I'm going to the store, it feels better for you to say I'm gonna go to the store. Little stuff like that, we can make those tweaks. But when you walk in the door the first day, I need you to know the lines that are written. Don't change and stuff. And then
Yeah.
it's important to know the script because stuff can change on set. It's like if we're scheduled to do scenes 2, 4, 6, and 8, but we get to the location and the lighting's all wrong. We need day for night or whatever, and there's a bunch of windows. We might have to make some adjustments. And if we make those adjustments, that shouldn't derail your whole day because you don't know the other scenes because they weren't on the call sheet. So you need
Right.
a script.
Right, man. And I want to say what you said verbatim. So I'm gonna go back because I need to post that about don't be so worried about memorization to where you forget what it was. Don't be so worried about memorization to where you forget the mood of the scene.
Right, but I'm not saying don't worry about memorization. You need to
Hmm.
memorize your script, but you need to know what's going on in the scene. So you need to understand, why is my character arguing with my scene partner? Why are
Right,
we angry with each other? So once you understand that, the lines that you're supposed to say will make more sense to you. It's easier to remember that way because you understand the situation. Whereas if you don't know what's going on, you're just looking at words on a piece of paper. They don't really mean anything to you because you don't understand what's behind that anger.
right, right. Well, thank you so much for those definitely wise words. I'm definitely going to pass this on to my friends, and they may already know it, but just in case, it's always good to saying pass on nuggets to others. So I'm going to let you close out on your end to if you have any projects that people need to see or any upcoming projects, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, we have Street Code Broken Part 2 coming out soon. We also have Surprise 2 coming. And we currently have God Forgives I Don't right now, and Turn of the Cheek, Sons of the Preacher, and Street Code Broken Part 1. So just, if you want to look up Janaya Black on Tubi, all of our movies should come up. And I just want to thank everybody who has been supporting us for all these years. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, man, and thank everybody that tune in, that share, that has tagged people in a post. Thank you all so much once again for tuning in on Tubi Tuesday with the Tubi Kang and Mrs. Janaya Black from the movie Surprise and other movies that she just listed. So make sure y'all go to Tubi, just type her name in, and y'all gonna see a whole bunch of movies. I need to get, you know what I'm saying, on some more on my Janaya Black movie kick and see what other movies, if they're good like Surprise, then hey, I'm definitely gonna be locked and tuned in, man. But as I always say, man, thank y'all so much for joining us on this Tubi Tuesday. And as always, it's brought to you courtesy of the 2020 Podcast LLC. Please say the LLC. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel and hit that bell button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure, man, that y'all follow us. Also sponsored by Black Renaissance Clothing Brand. Make sure y'all go to the website, www.shopblackrenaissance.com. They always got some new drop for our people around here in Mobile, Alabama. They have the LaFleur Rattler drop for the alumni weekend that's coming up in November. So make sure you go to the website, www.shopblackrenaissance.com, to get all your LaFleur Rattler gear, and also to get all your Do It For The Culture, Protect the Culture, whatever dope gear that you need, they have it. Whenever they're not doing a sale, which is rare, you can put in promo code LLC20 and get 20% off your entire purchase. Also, shout out to Black Box Grooming. You can go to the website, www.blackboxgrooming.com. If you want to get your beard velvetized like mine, go to the website, www.blackboxgrooming.com, and get your beard oil, your beard butter. It's all natural and organic. So 3 years down the line, you don't have to worry about a shark fin growing out the side of your neck because you done put some in your beard that ain't supposed to be in there. Make sure you go to the website, check that out. Also, if you're in the Mobile area, the Gulf Coast area, and you want a nice spot to go hang out at, make sure you go to 105 North Jackson Street, aka Canary Bar. They have something going on Tuesday through Sunday. Doors open at 5 for great drinks, great vibes, great atmosphere. Whatever that you need, Canary Bar has it. And also, if you're in the market for a home, land to buy, sell, home, land, whatever it is that you need, holla at Realtor Rosalind Spencer. She would definitely put you in a right direction to get you in a home or to get you some land to build your own home. And last but not least, K Marie Photography. If you're in the need for anything from graduation, business shoots, alter ego shoots, anything you need, something for couples, K Marie at K Marie Photography definitely will put you in the right direction. So once again, Mrs. Black, I want to thank you all so much. I wish you nothing and your husband, and once again, man, that's something big. Her and her husband, a dynamic duo in this filmmaking business. That is a blessing because now when y'all working them late hours, y'all are working them together. Y'all ain't got a surprise situation. Yeah, right. Man. So once again, that is a blessing. First off, just to be married for 28 years. In this day and age where it seemed like if you cough wrong, people are getting divorced. So once again, big congratulations to you and your husband for 28 years of marriage. I wish y'all 28 more and 28 after that, as long as God sees fit. And wishing you nothing but success and blessing on your future films, whether it's skits, movies, documentaries, biographies, whatever it is. I wish you nothing but success on that. So from yours truly, the Tubi Kang, we will see y'all next Tuesday.
Good night.